follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
Hello and welcome all you weebs to Grappling with the Week, the show that brings you the hottest wrestling news and highlights from the steamy kitchens of NXT to the gritty, fast-paced action of AEW. We talk about it all and give you a big discussion piece to truly satisfy that hunger for wrestling content. Brought to you, of course, by Animo We Studios and hosted by your Weebs of the Ring. Let's stomp a mud hole in this week and get right into the action. Hello and welcome. This is our weekly television program of Grappling with the Week, where we give you some of the greatest news highlights of the week and talk about a couple shows that happened and all that. And yeah, as you see, it is me and Drop here this week to talk to you, lovely folks, about all the stuff that's happened in wrestling. We're about a little over a week before WrestleMania, so as crazy as things might get in the following week, kind of a slow week when it comes to like some news stories and even some other wrestling shows, as we'll get into. But if you are new here, of course, we are your Weebs of the Ring. I am one of your co-hosts, known as your world champion Watkins, here to kind of help you ease into the week, and hopefully we can just kind of dissect some of these stories that have come out throughout the time. But of course, I am never alone in this endeavor. I have a wonderful, lovely person right next to me. He is known as the genius of the mat here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, welcome to the stage. Drop this box. Drop, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and like you said, it has been a very slow week when it comes to a lot of the news, which is understandable because I feel like next week and the week after that is really when things are going to start kicking into gear because that's around WrestleMania season, so you'll see things when it comes to what does the stage look like, what matches are going to be on each night, any other special things leading into the event, and of course, post-Mania when it comes to who's debuting on SmackDown or Raw, the post-Mania spectacle that we tend to see throughout the year when it comes to really starting off that new season of a show. So if we do have the show tonight end shortly, you'll see why, because we took whatever we could possibly find when it comes to news this week, and some of this stuff is new, and then some of this is continuations, little small tidbits of things that we talked about before.
Oh yeah, just little tiny tidbits and all that, and yeah. So we'll just kind of dive right into everything. So feel free to mention anything in the chat, join in on the discussion down there as well, and don't forget, leave a like on the video. Let us know that you like this kind of content and this show that we do on a weekly basis, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss all of our content that comes out on the weekly, whether it's this show or our other two shows talking about Raw and SmackDown, and the PLEs that come out every single month. But we're going to go right into it. We're going to start with our greater wrestling media. This is the segment that is used for highlighting any indie promotions we may have went to, some news that we want to discuss, interesting documentaries or interviews from the week, and anything else in the grand scale of professional wrestling in the world. So starting off with our first little news story here, Booker T responds to Swerve Strickland's post AEW Dynasty promo. Now, this happened this past Sunday after Dynasty went off the air, where Swerve Strickland basically, he thanked the crowd for coming out, and quoting here, "Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the merchandise. Get home safely. And one last thing, just for my amusement, F Booker T." Apparently they had a talk or a confrontation beforehand with this, but Booker T actually addressed Swerve's comments on his podcast, the Hall of Fame podcast, offering advice to the former AEW World Champion. And I quote, "I'm not even going to get upset about it. I'm going to give Swerve Strickland a little bit of advice. That advice would be, don't be talking about something other than the pay-per-view at the end of the night. That's the main event and the last thing people are going to remember. I'm sure Tony Khan don't appreciate the news, the headline not being what happened at Dynasty with all the matches. They're talking about Booker T. That was a bad move." The WWE NXT commentator stated. Booker T also noted that he thought the dispute between him and Swerve was over, and he didn't expect to see his name trending on social media on Monday. So the quote continues, "People like Swerve. We come from a different cloth, a totally different cloth. I wish nothing but the best for this dude, man. I want to see him succeed. Would I ever say anything positive about him ever again? Probably not. Would I ever put him over as far as being a good worker and someone who could perhaps transform this business? I probably would never ever do that again because I learned my lesson." Yeah, so strong words coming from Swerve. Again, I believe they had a word of words after Swerve had said WWE treated him, or at least treated Booker T very unfairly in the past. And Booker T kind of disagreed with that. So they kind of had a back and forth in the past beforehand. Um, what are your thoughts on this story? Because like I get what Booker T's saying, but I'll also say this: that was not the main talking point coming out of Dynasty. There is some other negativity coming out from Dynasty, but we'll get into that later on. But yeah, I guess what did you think of this story drop that dropped earlier this week?
So when I originally found out about it, I was really confused why these two were going at it back and forth because I didn't really know the whole story behind it. And then I saw the comment that Swerve said towards the end of Dynasty, and I was really trying to figure out exactly what went on. So what I did is, well, I asked Grok what was the whole controversy behind
Thanks, Grok.
Booker T and Swerve. And obviously the way that it's programmed, you ask it a question, it looks through different news articles online, and then it sends it in the chat so you guys can get a good idea of what is going on. And I guess this stems up from the whole thing years ago with like Booker T and Vince McMahon, if you know what I'm referring to, that whole segment where he went up to John Cena, he said a certain something, and then Booker T was right there. It's like, what? I can't believe he said that. You know how Vince was back then, just do whatever the hell he wanted. If you know what I'm referring to, what he said in that segment. I don't want to say it because it's something that's not going to come out of my mouth, but if you know what I'm referring to. So it pretty much stemmed from that. And it also told me, I'm not 100% if this is legit, about representation when it comes to people of color in WWE. I'm not 100% sure if that falls in line of everything. That's what was said when I was looking it up to get more insight, but it mainly stemmed off from that whole thing with Vince and Booker all those years ago, and how Booker, I guess, just let it pass by or whatever the case may be. And the one thing I will say about that is, like, I'm not entirely sure why that moment was brought up in particular, because like I said, I don't know all the information behind it, but I don't know why that moment in particular was like randomly like picked up just to spark a conversation. And also when it comes to representation, I would have to disagree with that because I mean, you have the men's triple threat at Stand and Deliver between Trick, Obafemi, Javon Evans. You have Bianca Belair in a main event with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. You got the Street Profits as the WWE Tag Team Champions. So it's not like they're not giving any people of color to shine, because they do get that in that brand. And you also have Naomi and Jade having a program at Mania, and I believe they made history as well, being like an event that doesn't have something like on the line or whatever the case may be when it comes to that sort of thing. Kind of like how Bianca and Sasha did all those years ago when they had that main event towards one of the I think it was like night one of one of the manias that they had to close off the show. So that I would have to disagree with. Again, I'm not 100% sure if that's where it stems from, but just to put it out there, just because I know that is a topic that people talk about, I would have to disagree with it, because we watch the product weekly and that doesn't seem to be the case at all. It seems like a lot of people, regardless of what race they are, they're being treated fairly. And when it comes to this whole debacle, I mean, honestly, it's probably would be best to go their separate ways, because it doesn't really look like things are gonna get any better with them. Booker T seems to be pretty set of, just doing whatever next. It was, I guess, mainly with the whole comment with Swerve or whatever. Like, I'm not really sure how that's going to really evolve something to like the next level between both of those guys. It was kind of random, but like you said, that wasn't the main talking point coming out of the show, because there was a lot of other things. Maybe one thing in particular that closed out the night that was a huge clusterfuck online all week, but that's mainly my thought process on it, based on what I know.
You know what? one thing you can kind of think of it too. It could have been a way for Swerve to kind of be like, okay, let me just say something so people aren't just talking about the shit that happened at the end of this show. Like, let me try to say something else to kind of just stir the pot again and just kind of get people talking about something other than not only Moxley going over and the Young Bucks turning and all that.
Yeah.
Could be that too. So I don't know with that. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say about that news article that happened. So we'll move on to our next little article with more people just saying, "Hey, we're better. Y'all are worse."
Yeah.
Will Ospreay saying that CM Punk versus Seth Rollins tried and failed to top his and Kyle Fletcher's steel cage match. So this came while Will
Mhm.
Ospreay was talking with Battleground Podcast, and he believes that his match at Revolution was better than the steel cage match that took place the following night. And quoting, "I can't think of another cage match. I will try to do a Will Ospreay impression, but I my throat's a little scratchy tonight, everybody. But
Mm.
I can't think of another cage match off the top of my head that had done the stunts, the storytelling, the drama, as well as that. I mean, people tried to top it the next day, and they couldn't. I just could not believe the output and the support that we got afterward, and just how people just thought it was one of the greatest steel cage matches ever. I was super out of my depth with that one. I won't lie to you guys at all. It was crazy to be a part of that, and I felt like a proper pro wrestler out there. I know it's the Crypto.com arena now, but that's the Staples Center, man. I felt like a pro wrestler out there. Kyle Fletcher even elevated himself to new heights. It was a crazy match to be a part of, Ospreay stated. So he just okay, because he also made a comment earlier on Twitter today about like there was this one camera shot that got all those guys in the 8-man tag last night like doing their flips outside the ring, and he made a comment about how it like one straight camera shot was greater than 1,000 cuts. And I see that, and then I see this comment, and it just makes me like wonder, and this is gonna sound tribalistic as shit. I don't really care right now. This is just, can he get Triple H out of his mind? Like, can he get that little side comment he made out of his mind? Like, he is so hurt by that comment that he is willing to just be like compare everything and to like just continuously say, "Oh yeah, we're better." Which, don't get me wrong, you work at in a company, you should probably not badmouth the company that you're working for, because that's a bad look on the company that you're at. But at the same time, like, these were two different matches as well, like, and also in two different companies that do two different things with their match structures and their match qualities and all that. And that's no shade towards Seth and Punk. I mean, they had a great steel cage match. It's just the storytelling between the two is a lot different. But we just got to keep comparing. We got to keep trying to, punch up or punch down on each other. Just like, dude, just it's fine to be like, oh yeah, it's better, but like, I don't know, man. It just, I think it stings more because it's just more comments from Will Ospreay about this, and you really got to wonder, like, how hurt was he by Triple H's little line about the grind and all that? Because I mean, you're kind of proving the man right. You're kind of proving the man right with this. Uh, I don't know. Again, that's very toxic to say and tribalistic to say and all that. But what are your thoughts on this? Because I mean, I'm sorry, like this just sounds petty to me. Like, this is just why? Like, just two different feuds, two different moments in the feud. Because it's like Seth and Punk's cage match, that wasn't ending the feud. Like, we're still in the middle of CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Yeah, we're having the triple threat next week at Mania, but I mean, we're still in the middle of their feud. I know Sydney. Even Sydney agrees with me, and she's a freaking dog. But yeah. What do you think of these comments that Will Ospreay made?
Honestly, it's like you said, they're two different matches. The way that they were telling their story there with Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay was a whole lot different when it came to CM Punk and Seth Rollins. So you got to look at how
Mm-hmm.
everything's laid out first before you really start understanding. Okay, this is where this goes. This is where that goes. That's why I didn't really understand. It's like you had a great match, which is a common thing. I mean, Will
Yeah.
Ospreay is one of those guys, just like Gunther, who rarely has a bad match. Usually, every match you put Will Ospreay in, it's a banger. Same thing with Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people, when they're heading into this match of Jey Uso at WrestleMania, people are like, it's Gunther. He can't put on a bad match. He's going to work his ass off when it comes to Jey when he has that match, because that's what Gunther's known for, and that's what Will Ospreay's known for in AEW. So I would just take
Mm-hmm.
my flag and wave it and be like, yeah, I had a good match, but I wouldn't give a shit
Yeah.
about, oh, what Punk and Seth Rollins did the following night, because that's not why that match took place. And obviously, you're gonna have people online looking at it like that because for some reason the IWC is like the king of assumptions when it comes to looking at one thing and thinking it's supposed to be that, or trying to dive into people's relationships, which I don't know why the hell you're doing that. That's just really
Yeah.
weird. But it's like it's always like a comparison competition. So it's like,
Mhm.
just take your flag, wave it around. And because, I saw that match itself, it was great. He did what he needed to do. That's fine. And it led to the result that a lot of people knew it was going to go down, so we can get that momentum heading into the Owen Hart Cup, because obviously he's one of the fan favorites
Yeah.
there. And that was definitely a big boost from that match to really propel him to really, move it up there. And when it came to like
Mm-hmm.
Punk and Seth, obviously, ever since they first started butting heads, they had a lot of heat between one another. But there was also another man that factored into that as well, which was Roman Reigns, which is why you ended up getting
Yeah.
that result towards the end of the match to really factor him in so you can help elevate that story even further when it comes to their match at WrestleMania. So
Yeah.
it's a lot different when you look at both matches. It's not like, let's do this and that, see who outperforms one another. It's a certain structure each one is following. And you honestly said it the best,
Mm-hmm.
really, when it comes to how everything is. Like, I don't really understand, um, why it matters. I mean, just worry
Yeah.
about
Like,
you, worry about the money you're getting, worry about whatever future championships you win, and that's it.
yeah.
Competition is good, of
Yeah.
course, because we wouldn't be getting compelling television if this wasn't the case. But again, don't worry about what someone else is doing. Just do you. If you know you're the shit, have that confidence and move forward, and not worry about what
Mhm.
other people say about you.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I get it because like the whole wrestling sphere is filled with egos, and you kind of have to have a big
Yeah,
ego to be in the business.
yeah,
But like, there's also a part where you kind of have to be a little self-aware and kind of know, hey, maybe I shouldn't say this thing on this grand thing, on this big thing that we have known as social media, because people are gonna
yeah,
take that, run with it, get tribalistic, and see that's the other thing too. Is just like you just feed into that tribalism that just is so rampant, not only just in wrestling, but just in general, anywhere you go, no matter what like fandom you're in. It could be like freaking video game stuff. Like recently, right now, Devil Man Cry or whatever. Yeah, Devil Man Cry, um, came out with a new show, and like apparently I saw a tweet earlier, just like, oh, Devil May Cry fan base is so weird. Oh, they're so toxic, blah blah blah. And I saw somebody respond to it, just like, this is literally everywhere,
yeah,
and like you get that so much, but I get it. You got to have a big ego in this thing, but
yeah.
just come on, man, just chill. Your match was awesome. The other match was good. It's just you don't have to. You don't have to. And I think again, what stings too is just like when I saw that tweet earlier today with him being like, "Oh yeah, one panning shot is greater than 1,000 camera cuts." I'm like, dude, are you watching like 2020 WWE on your
Yeah.
time off?
Kevin Dunn's
Because
gone, dude.
yeah, like we get some good shots in WWE now. Like it's not like it was back then, but I don't know. Maybe he just has an old TV and old TV provider or whatever that shoots wave signals from like 2020 or whatever. That's besides the point. Yeah, I mean, just chill, dude. Just chill, dude. You're doing great work. Just focus on that, you know. Our next story, though, we actually got news about the contract length of WWE and NXT's TNA working relationship. So, this was revealed from PW Insider, it looks like. So, it was announced as part of the formalization of the working relationship that the two sides had agreed to a multi-year partnership. The exact length of the partnership has now been revealed, however, with PW Insider reporting that the working relationship is believed to be a 3-year agreement. WWE, NXT, and TNA Wrestling informally began working together in May of last year, when then TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace making a surprise appearance on NXT, which led to her challenging Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's title at Battleground. The NXT TNA working relationship will be on full display at TNA's upcoming Rebellion pay-per-view on April 27th in LA. NXT talents announced for the show include Fatal Influences JC Jane, Jasmine Nix, and Fallon Henley. NXT's Ethan Page will also challenge Joe Hendry for the TNA World title in a 3-way, also featuring Frankie Kazarian. So, cool that we got a time frame for how long this partnership is. I think, from a news story we had, I think, like either last week or the week before with TNA Plus's subscriber count going up to like the millions. Yeah, this seems to be a good relationship for TNA. NXT's finally kind of sending in some bigger names down there. I know another name to kind of throw out there, say what you will about her in-ring work or whatever, but I mean, Cora Jade is a bigger name than some of the people they were sending down. So she was down there for a bit, but it's also kind of makes sense too why, like, when this relationship first started, you didn't see bigger names go down there. Like, I think, what was it, Joe Coffey, I think, went down there or something for a bit. And I mean, that's nothing against him or anything. It's just, in the pecking order of NXT, he's not really up there, So it's like, you got those people going into TNA first, but now we're getting like bigger names. Like, I mean, Ethan Page challenging for Joe Hendry's title. Yep. That's kind of big, like that's a big name for NXT. But it's good that this is going to go on for a few years, because I think again, their relationship right now is working really well for each other. Yeah, and again, I think this only benefits the talent as well. What are your thoughts on this?
I would have to say the same thing as you. I mean, it goes to show that the partnership is working. You're getting more names involved there. You have Ethan Page not only involved in a North American title program at Stand and Deliver, but you also have him involved in a world title picture in TNA. So things are really going good on their end. And you also can't roll out the possibility of the Hardys ever doing something with them on the main roster, because if they were going to give one of those guys like the golden ticket to be on the main roster, would be them. So it only goes to show that this partnership is, putting TNA in a spot where it needed to be. It's finally finding its place again in the wrestling sphere, so it could, put on some good television within the week, deliver some good pay-per-view matches whenever they come out, have some good storylines, having talent on there, open the eyes, because when it comes to, some people in NXT, they're not super well known like a Cody Rhodes or a Bianca Belair on the main roster. But when they go to different promotions and people see something for them, they're like, okay, look at Ethan Page. I like him. I like his cocky attitude. I like the way that he talks on the mic. I like the way he moves in the ring. I want to follow this guy to see where he goes. It's kind of like you're playing Super Smash Bros., where you have all of these different characters from different games get put in there. And this could be a game that came out like 10, 20 years ago. And you were growing up, you never heard of this game. You find out this character is on Smash, you go to play that game, become a fan, you start playing more of those games. Ethan Page is cool on TNA. Let's see where he is on NXT. Look at all his matches he had with Javon Evans. Seeing that you want to following the career of him now because you got super invested in him. So it just works out on both sides when it comes to both of them really helping each other out in the end. And I really like this partnership, and I think it's doing wonders for them. And I wouldn't be surprised in the future if you get some sort of like Worlds Collide pay-per-view where you have a TNA and WWE like crossover. And for all we know, it could either be a TNA NXT thing, maybe a few people from the main roster can get involved. You never know, but it just goes to show as a whole, just to end it here, that the partnership is working. That's good.
Yeah. Only benefits everyone involved, at least currently. So, yeah. But speaking of people that, well, I guess he doesn't really benefit yet. Or anymore or whatever. But very interesting words coming out. I remember seeing this kind of going around for the past week. So Chris Jericho would actually consider returning to WWE. So he was on, where was he? Clearly keeping his options open. The 54-year-old recently commented on the possibility of a WWE return during a Horror Rock and WrestleFest event. So he was talking to these guys on here, and he had stated, "I would have considered a return to WWE before things changed. Once again, there are 2 teams you can play on, which is amazing, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to take a chance and go to AEW in the first place. It was a real gamble. Of course, I would consider going back there. I would also consider not going back there too. It just depends on what the situation is and what's going on with me at the time." Jericho's AEW contract is reportedly set to expire this year. He dropped the ROH World title to Bandito this past Sunday on Dynasty. Very interesting. It's kind of a basic answer he gave though, where it's just like, it just depends on my situation at the time when my contract goes up, blah blah blah. But it's interesting that he notes here, I would have considered a return before things changed. So it's like, okay, he probably would have gone back if Vince was still around, and because I'm pretty sure he was like a big Vince guy too.
Yeah.
So, because I could see him and Triple H kind of button heads creatively. I could really see them button heads creatively, and I mean, even now, I don't think he really has a place in WWE. At least as an on-screen talent, unless, I mean, it's just for like one final hurrah, like Cena's doing or something. But it would be like part-time. I don't know. I don't really see him going back unless, maybe it's like a Legends deal or something he signs. I don't see him going back. I think as weird as it sounds, considering what he does right now in AEW, I think he's fine where he's at. I think he does a little better with what he's given there, rather than going back to the WWE machine and having to deal with all the changes from that. But what are your thoughts? Would you want to see Chris Jericho back in WWE? Do you want him to face off against Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam for the WWE title on night 2?
There's a stipulation that he never gets a world title shot ever again.
In any company he's in, yes, that is the stipulation.
Wow. I would have to say I'm not really that interested in seeing this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Chris Jericho. I grew up watching him. Obviously, I wasn't born around the time when he was in his prime and everything. I was like probably just starting to come out of the show really in the late 90s. I didn't really see anything until I knew what videos and what YouTube was. So I could really go back and see a couple things or listen to it. But based on the kind of things that I saw growing up when it came to, the stuff at him and Owens and all that, I mean, at the very least, what I could really see if you were to do anything with WWE is either a Legends deal, like you said, or possibly something to do with the Hall of Fame. That's the only real
Yeah.
thing I could see with Jericho up until this point, because he doesn't really, you don't really gain anything when you add Jericho to the division, because they're pretty much all set in stone. Like, you could take certain people out nowadays and you don't have to worry about like things floundering or anything, because it's not like there's just
Mm-hmm.
one guy that they rely on that's their top guy. They got a lot of top guys and gals on both shows, and they also have future ones on NXT. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see what he could really do outside of the Legends deal that we talked about and the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, I'm pretty content that we could probably see in the future for sure, but I don't really
Oh yeah.
know, because he definitely deserves it. But other than that, I don't really know what else he would really do. I mean, I feel like he's fine where he is, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think Jericho's a-okay right where he's at, and yeah, just get that Legends deal, get that Hall of Fame, and move on with your life and career. But speaking of Legends deals,
Yeah.
we had somebody who just signed a Legends deal, somebody known as Kelly Kelly. So this was reported by Sean Rossap of Fightful, where Kelly Kelly is believed to be on a WWE Legends deal. Um, cool, because I mean they'll get to use like her likeness and all that. She'll get paid for that. She can show up in like the video games. They can make action figures of her, just all those fun things with her. Not gonna lie though, like that my experience with Kelly Kelly is during her debut during that ECW revival of WWE's, where she was the exhibitionist character. So, yeah, I don't have many fond memories of her as an in-ring talent, because around that time I kind of also was getting away from wrestling for a bit. Uh, so I mean, cool that she's got a Legends deal. Neat. Make that money, girl. Get that bank. Get that bank. You have any thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm happy for her. I mean, I can't say that I'm not, because it's good that she has this legend deal. She's making money. She's doing what she needs to do. I would assume maybe she wants to help behind the scenes with like helping the ladies really step up to the next level when it comes to things at
Hmm.
NXT. Maybe seeing how things are running around there, because she did have her time to shine all those years ago when it came to certain matches that she had and everything. So I guess it just comes to the point where it's like, you get to a certain point in your career where like you're settling down, you're taking things easy, and it's just one of those things where it's like, you know what? I'll give you a Legends deal, I'll have you do this and that, and then you can make whatever
Hmm.
money out of it. Because we have a lot of people under Legends deals like this. We got like Booker T,
Yeah.
Undertaker, whole bunch of people like this. And if they were to put her in any place, kind of like how Michelle McCool's doing and LFG really helping out the girls, really build up that
Yeah.
division. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if maybe she wants to help the girls backstage. That's something I can definitely see her doing, that she probably would be happy to do. Because you have
Okay.
Molly Holly
Yeah.
doing that in that performance center.
Oh, that's right. She is out there, isn't she? I
Hmm.
forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really have much to say on Kelly Kelly besides what I did, because again, she's always going to be the exhibitionist for me. Like that. That's just it, you know. But somebody who's not an exhibitionist, but almost had a heel turn
Yeah.
apparently recently. Um, so Jay White. So we know right now Jay White's injured. Um, and he's having to deal with all that. But apparently, one theory, and this comes from Fightful again, so take this what you will. One theory within AEW is that Jay White was set for a heel turn ahead of his injury. It was implied that the heel turn could have been tied into the AEW Dynasty main event. However, White's injury caused significant creative shifts. Now, I read this, and I heard this story earlier today, too. I read this, and I look at this. I'm just like, how would you have tied in Jay White turning heel
Hmm.
in the main event? Like, him turning heel, I would have seen against Edge, or excuse me, sorry, Cope. and especially like a month ago at the other event, like because a lot of people were saying it was going to happen then. So I'm just sitting here like, how was this the plan? But then, the significant creative shift was to have the Young Bucks do it. I I really don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. In fact, yeah, there's not even like any comments below it either. Like nobody like really
No,
responded to this tweet.
no, it's just out there.
Wow. Um, what are your thoughts on this? Because like I'm kind of baffled by this. Like again, like it's not that I'm against Jay White turning heel. I mean, again, that's like another turn for him in like a year or so. But like in the main event during the Swerve Mox match, I don't know. That's just weird to me.
Um, I mean, we did see some things on television, like the way it was
Mm-hmm.
originally being set up, where it had that whole thing with him and Cope, and I felt like
Yeah.
that probably would have happened in like the previous pay-per-view, just because of how things were structured. But then nothing happened, and obviously we are right now with Copeland doing his own thing now, focusing on FTR, and then of course whatever's going on with the Death Riders. But I didn't really understand what was the need for it, unless they just wanted to do like a simple character change, which I guess they do every so often. But okay, no, I just read it a little bit more. I didn't have it opened yet. He was supposed to tie into the Dynasty. Yeah, okay. See, I don't know now.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to tie into the Dynasty main event. I mean, it would have made more sense for the previous one, not this one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, why the Dynasty one?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense because there was a lot of shit that happened in that, and obviously, once we get to our AEW coverage, if we want to shed a few thoughts on that, feel free. But just looking at how everything was with that event, when it came to all the people coming out and shit, I don't know what he would have done, because with Jay White in that scenario, who's the attacking that logically makes sense? Because the only person that would logically make sense is Cope, because he had something going on with him. Cope wasn't involved in this match. Who the hell is he gonna fucking attack? Swerve?
Yeah.
What does he have with Swerve? I don't want you getting the title or some shit. Well, I mean, that's Adam. That's what's his name? It's
Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah, that's his whole stick.
Yeah.
Hope he's stealing his stick.
Yeah.
So this doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it doesn't. Like, was that real? Like, that's my thing. Is just like, was that really the plan?
Yeah.
Like, was that really the original plan, or are they getting like their? If it's gonna come out to be like they were getting their events mixed up, then fine. But then at the same time, he was injured after the Cope match, so it's like, why is this coming out now?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just weird. Really, just weird timing.
Yeah, and they even did something on Dynamite now where he just got attacked by the Death Riders. Didn't they have something where he got attacked by the Death Riders backstage? Isn't that like what was said over commentary, right?
Yep. Yeah, commentary was just like, he was attacked. Yeah, he was attacked by the Death Riders, and now
then
he's injured.
then you throw that in there.
Yeah. Well, like, he also had an interview like recently too, like, AEW interview, and it's just like he mentions. I don't think he mentioned anything about the Death Riders, just that he was injured and that his spot was taken. And it's just like, can we do something else? Can we write this a little better?
Yeah, I don't
like,
know. It just seems like a big clusterfuck. Like, that's the only thing I can label it, because me and Watkins don't really know how to even interpret this because of how this report was like put out there. It just seems like something we can honestly put together and just put out there just so people can get little engagement farming sort of thing.
Exactly. And I feel like that's been most of the news stories this past week, was just like a lot of stuff just coming out to like engagement form. I mean, not to kind of like change subjects or anything, but I saw something earlier today. I probably should have put it in here too, since we kind of have been talking about this little segment. The whole Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton thing that came out,
Oh, the original
and
plan.
how like, yeah, the original plan, and like I'm looking at it, like I read the original plan part of it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking to myself, wait, this is like one of the first or few times we've ever gotten something like this, like leaked to us or given to us.
Yeah.
And then I look at this tweet that Charlotte had earlier where she's like, after after last week's traumatizing like emotional baggage thing that happened, I feel like I have to apologize to everybody. I had called Chicago fans smart, but you're actually dumb, or something like that. Like I looked at that tweet, and then I looked at the report of like, oh, this is how it was supposed to go. I think we got freaking worked. I think we got worked because of other things that have come out with them being like, oh yeah, WWE is feeding their leakers and all that false information and all this other stuff. So I'm just sitting here like, okay, nah, they're totally working us. They're working the dirt sheets. They're working us as fans, which I mean,
the
I'm
whole
not mad at this.
the whole segment, because I kind of feel like those last few words, because we talked about how Charlotte's facial expression.
The last few words, probably yes.
Yeah, I felt like the last few, because they wouldn't have mentioned the divorce on SmackDown, because that's something that Tiffany probably had in there that she just wanted to like really piss her off when she said the whole 0-3 line. So I feel like when it comes to how things were like laid out towards the end of that segment, that was probably legit shit right there, because you saw how fast she got out of the ring, and then Charlotte just said something right there.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it could have been just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, you can mention something like that. It's just they didn't know what they were gonna say or something. I don't know. Just like,
yeah.
I mean, it's all conspiracy theory hat kind of thing, but it's just like, yeah.
Honestly, I'm just ready to just ride this into Mania and get it over. If I'm sorry, I mean, I can't take it anymore. I honestly don't even want to see them having any more confrontation with each other. Just save it till Mania. That's how I feel right now. It's gonna be a shoot fight. Want to be surprised if it's stiff.
God, I hope so. I hope so, and I hope Tiffany comes out on top with it.
Yeah,
because of feelings and all that other stuff I have.
Oh,
but
boy.
Hey, well, don't worry, Trump. We'll talk more about WrestleMania next week when we talk about the builds and all the fun stuff. Because hey, some builds will probably only be like a 5-minute talk. Others will probably have us going for 20 minutes, being like, "This is stupid." Because hey, we're equal opportunists here when it comes to things that are silly or whatever.
Yep.
But one person that's not silly is Hikuleo, who could possibly be debuting on NXT around May or June. Now, this has been somebody that we've he's been on the radar a little bit when it comes to like, is he signed or is he not? Is he going to be premiering soon? Is he not? Good to see that there's something coming out now other than like, oh, he's coming soon. We at least have a better window where it's like May or June. And this is a good time to kind of debut somebody like this, because it'll be after Stand and Deliver time, since he'll be going to NXT. And usually around this time too, especially like May, I mean, if they're doing the draft again, it's going to be after the draft. And if they do that again, the NXT men's division is going to need a good booster shot again.
Oh, yeah.
As much as they need it right now. But yeah, I'm excited to see him. I haven't really seen much of his work, but I know he's at least somebody to keep an eye on. But yeah, I mean, I think you're a little bit more familiar with his work, I think.
I know he did some things in New Japan, but outside of that, I don't know anything other than his relation to Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Other than that little thing, I don't really know much about him. But I'm hoping he keeps his name Hikuleo, because I can't really get behind Tala Tonga, because that whole Tala Tonga thing I saw coming out, that like, I'm okay when it comes to certain names WWE does,
Yeah.
Like the whole Ricky Saints
Tala
thing,
Tonga.
that was Ricky Starks' own spin on it because he's from New Orleans and he wanted to make
Yeah.
it something from the heart. So that never really bothered me at all, to be honest. 'Cause people just call him Ricky as it is. I don't really give a shit. But
Yeah.
when it comes to Hikuleo, I mean, just keep it at that Tala Tonga just because the dude's tall. I mean, come on now. Like, I don't need to hear any of that. But I am happy that we're going to be getting him finally after knowing he's been signed forever now. And I was looking at a lot of the NXT events that they could possibly do this. It says around May or June. And we do have an event in May called NXT Battleground. And that takes place on May 25th, 2025. And that's actually in Tampa, Florida at the Yingling Center. So I feel like since the report says around May or June, you could possibly, have him debut at that pay-per-view because you always have people either returning at pay-per-views or debuting at pay-per-views. And I feel like if this follows in line with the reports, that could be an easy slot in for Hikuleo. And maybe after Stand and Delivers over, you can get those little silhouettes, with those little vignettes when it comes to building someone up where it's like, holy shit, who's this guy? And then once you get that whole revelation where it says Battleground or whenever the guy's going to be popping up, kind of like what we saw Ray Phoenix next Friday, we'll see Ray Phoenix. We have that currently going on with Malachi. I can easily see one of those things in the works, and he makes his debut there. And I'm interested to see where it goes with him. I'm interested to see how they're gonna push him. I mean, it says big push. I would expect him to be pushed into the main event scene because he's a pretty big guy. He's not a tall guy. He's a pretty big guy, and I'm very curious to see what he's capable of and what he could really bring to the table. I mean, he's obviously going to be involved with Bloodline stuff once he gets officially called up to the main roster, whenever that time comes, of course. And then you also have a Lance, which I know he has signed with WWE as well, but he's currently injured at the moment, so he'll probably factor into something down the line, and possibly he gets inserted with Hikuleo. You never know. Maybe they're like a two-man power trip because obviously the Bloodline has to align with each other. So, this is pretty exciting. I mean, I'm always here for debuts and seeing what these people can bring to the table. And this will just help me get more familiar with him outside of the little tidbits that I know. So, yeah, this is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do and how his debut goes. So, yeah, good, more power to you, Hikuleo. And our last little news segment. So, Gunther not only re-signed with WWE, but he got some new special benefits that were revealed during a little interview that he had with Ariel Helwani. So he was speaking with Ariel Helwani. Gunther confirmed that he signed a new deal in late 2024, and as part of his contract negotiations, he asked. This is actually kind of funny. He asked for his own private bus, which WWE accepted and provided. Such a perk is reserved for only the biggest stars in the company, with the likes of Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and Randy Orton, amongst others, traveling by bus. So, when he was asked if he considered re-signing anywhere else before penning his new deal, Gunther revealed his heart was set on WWE. No. And this is quoting Gunther right here. No. I'm set where I am. Nothing else is really. No, how could I? I think I saw that statistic recently. Since I signed in 2019, I've been champion 85 or 90% of the time, or something like that. So obviously, they always saw me in a certain way and give me that trust. And I enjoy that. And yeah, since joining WWE NXT UK in 2019, Gunther has had record-breaking reigns with both the NXT UK title, the IC title that he dropped last year, and Gunther is having an all-time single longest and cumulative longest reigns with that title and all that. So good to see that the company really sees Gunther in this big light. And he did mention some other things too in that interview, like he had mentioned something about like working under Vince compared to Triple H,
Yeah.
and how like Vince, he didn't really know what was going on or what was really expected of him, rather than with Triple H, he knows all of that. So that was cool to see. He did make some comments about like Jay being his WrestleMania opponent and how he's actually kind of happy now with that compared to like what he could have had and everything. He even made a statement about like not really minding not main eventing WrestleMania either.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some good little clips I saw from this interview. So, I haven't really checked out the whole thing. So I would recommend, just from hearing those clips, for anybody to, check out the interview and all that. But yeah, just a really cool insight on just how the company sees Gunther. Because, I mean, you look at him on TV and, if you've heard us in the past talking about it, like, some of us have been worried about, like, oh, how is his booking right now? Because his booking's kind of weird, the writing's kind of weird, his character's kind of weird at certain points, but at least the company does see something big in him. And just like the way he talks in these interviews, it's a very professional manner. He's definitely a company guy. Like, this is a guy, he's going to be in WWE until he retires. So that's really great to see. Really great to know that we're going to be having Gunther for a long time in WWE. But what do you think about some of his thoughts here, especially like him apparently getting a bus now that only a select few get in the company? Like, that's something big. But what do you think of Gunther's just thoughts about the company and his own character and career and all that?
I mean, he definitely deserves it because I see him as a main event player. Like we talked about him many times on the channel before, he's one of those final boss characters where it's like you think of those
Mm-hmm.
final bosses in like video games. If I were to place Gunther in a video game, that would probably really fit him as like that final boss where you keep having to fight over and over and over again. I'd probably have to say he's probably some kind of Elden Ring boss. Because I played Elden
Mm.
Ring, I beat the game. I haven't played the DLC yet,
Mm.
but I know there's a certain boss you fight before the actual boss. And keep in mind, Watkins, you got to go through one boss, then
Yeah.
another boss, and then another boss to really finish the game. And those
Nah,
bosses, and when
okay.
it comes to the Souls games, they're hard. But obviously, I'd like
Yeah.
myself a challenge, and that was actually one of the very first Souls games that I really beat. But there was a guy in there, forgot his name,
Mm.
but
Was
he's
it Rohan or something? Was he the guy on the horse?
um, it was the guy who a lot of people are making memes. Like he was like he like when he was in his second phase of the fight, he pretty
Mm.
much like grabbed you like you were a wrestler doing all these power slams and shit. I know his name on the top of
Oh,
my head,
okay.
but I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But that's what Gunther kind of reminds me of. He's like that Elden Ring boss you come across
Hmm.
where he just rips you to shreds again and again and again. You gotta fight him, and you probably don't beat him until like the 50th or 60th time because the dude's so hard. So it's like you look at how he's placed. He's obviously not a joke. They give him these titles for a reason, and he's broke records. They wouldn't have him be the longest reigning IC champion if they didn't see a lot of faith in him, and they wouldn't be putting him in a lot of these predicaments if they didn't see a lot of faith in him. So I feel like him wanting his own bus, wanting to have these certain perks to really be up there, like Cody
Hmm.
and like Seth and Randy and Punk and all of them. I mean, it makes sense. He's gonna be there for the long run. I definitely do see him being one of those guys where he retires with the WWE when everything's all said and done, and I'm just happy for the guy. He definitely deserves it.
Oh yeah, yeah. The guy really deserves it. He's gonna have a. I hope him and Jay have a really good match at Mania. It's gonna suck because he's gonna more than likely be dropping that title again. So
Yep.
his WrestleMania record's not going to be that good so far. But I mean, still, the man can pull out some quality content, some quality matches, and yeah, I'm going to be all here for it and everything. But hey, everybody, that's all the news that we have for you right now. we're going to transition now. We're going to turn the tables now to our turnbuckle tidbits. Now, this is the part of the show where we talk about both NXT and AEW Dynamite, the good, the bad, and the mediocre at best. I'm going to start us off now with our our Dynamite talk. I'm not going to say much about Dynasty. I feel like everybody's been beating that dead horse a lot this past week. I thought overall before the main event it was a good show. I mean, say what you want about booking some of the matches that were on there and whether or not they were pay-per-view worthy. I mean, they again, par for the course with AEW, great matches throughout the night. A few hiccups here and there, a few things I'm just like, I don't really care about this, but I mean, that's just personal investment when it comes to all that. And of course, the main event stuff. What? What? I need answers now, and luckily with Dynamite, or maybe unluckily with Dynamite answers. Yeah. So let me just run down the show for you really quick here. Drop. Again, like Dynamite was not. I don't think Dynamite was good last night. I mean, even the match quality in a lot of places was just not the best or very memorable. This is actually kind of a promo and segment heavy show, which kind of sucks. Well, I don't want to say sucks because you kind of want that to progress your stories, but in the AEW sense, it kind of sucked. So we started the night off. We had Mox taking on Shibata for, because Shibata did well, the ops, at least, during the main event, came out to beat up the Death Riders and all that. So, of course, Mox being the leader, he's got to set a good example. He defeats Shibata fairly quickly. I think it was like a 5 or 6 minute match. So, okay, cool. He's knocked out now. And Mox is going to go, but out come the Young Bucks. And they kind of have a little bit of a exchange of words, but we don't get to hear it because there's no microphone for Mox to use. So, okay, fine. He's just kind of mad at them. Actually, he did have the mic before he left the ring and was just like, whatever you guys are trying to do, Bucks, I'm still watching you guys. I'm not trusting you guys for a second. Like, you guys are the bane of all existence. But now it's time for the Young Bucks to explain their actions from Dynasty. Because again, they cost Swerve Strickland the AEW World title. They also left the company months ago, shredded documents, said they were going to work from home because it was a poor working environment for them. They were just going to take their ball and run back home. So, okay, you come back and you cost this guy the world title that could possibly save your promotion, if you will. So, why? Why did you guys do this? Why did you guys force a hand to stop all this? Well, firstly, they start off by saying they did this for Hangman Adam Page because, again, Page vowed to never make Swerve Strickland, or if it was within his power, to always make sure that Swerve Strickland never became the AEW World Champion ever again. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. If it was just that, if it was just for Hangman Adam Page, if that was the only reason, I would have chalked it up and been like, okay, you know what? Fine. Fine. You're doing it for Page? You're doing it for the Hangman? Fine. I'll let it slide. But you know what? No, it wasn't just for Hangman. If anything, that was just an excuse to use. Their second reason is really just what kind of irks me. Apparently, it was a peace offering towards the Death Riders. Apparently, the Elite, apparently, the Young Bucks, and the Death Riders have more in common than anyone thinks. And they want to push the locker room. They all want to push the locker room. Okay, fine, I get that. But y'all are doing it in a really not a good way, At least with the Death Riders, they want to push the locker room to stop them. I can get that story, but you got to do a little bit more to like kind of destroy the company and all that. But whatever, we'll just do bullshit things every single week and every single big event that we have when we're the freaking Death Riders. Cool, neat. I don't know, man. This just sucks. It's stupid. It's really dumb. It's just like, why are you joining the guys, or why are you giving a peace offering to the guys who want to destroy your company? You know, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. But especially what didn't sit right is after, or like during their little spiel here, out comes Kenny Omega, who he calls out the Bucks for, you know, quote unquote, being good friends. Because, yeah, he heard them in the back when they were like, yeah, we did this for Hangman Adam Page. It's like, okay, but aren't we friends? Could you have helped me out? Like, and Kenny even mentions, like, he did forgive them for what they did. I mean, again, this is pro wrestling. These things are bound to happen and all that. And, you know, they do have back and forths and all that as friends. So Omega's just like, you know what? Fine, I could have forgiven you guys. And, you know, I want to bring back the feeling of AEW. And, like, that's the one thing AEW wants to do. They want to bring back this feeling. Well, you're doing it very well by cutting a promo about how your EVPs are basically Shih Tzu puppies shitting on the floor. Yeah, I could tell. This might just be a me thing. I don't know. Anybody in the comments or the chat, let me know. Kenny did not feel really comfortable cutting this promo. He didn't really feel like himself like reciting these lines. And I say recite, so, you know, take that with what you will. I didn't feel like he truly believed what he was saying, or that he really wanted to say what he wanted to say. Comparing like both Matt and Nick Jackson to puppies pooping on the floor, and then him wanting to tell his friend, hey, let's go play somewhere else. Like, we don't have to be here where there's poop everywhere. I mean, he's basically blaming the fall of AEW on the Bucks, which, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. They're kind of failing too. Yeah, they're just.
Noticed
this
that.
was not a good promo.
Yeah, I heard you.
What?
I heard you. Good thing I have headphones. I could go around the house. But
with the Kenny thing.
Yeah, because a lot of people notice lately when it comes to certain promo segments that he's a part of. A lot of people notice that he doesn't really seem to care as much when he's involved in certain segments just because of his delivery.
Yeah.
Which I can definitely see that, because there's a difference where you can tell when somebody's like emotionally invested, where they're really trying to sell whatever they're saying. And then there's a point where you could tell somebody's just saying what they need to say because it's a part of the show, just so they can move on to the next part of the show. And it just seems like as of late, that's how Kenny's been feeling when it comes to these certain segments that he's a part of. Like, even that whole promo itself, I notice a lot of people are like, doesn't sound like Kenny Omega. The way that he's comparing
it did not.
them to like Shih Tzus and how they're shitting on the floor. Like, that doesn't sound like a Kenny Omega promo. And it's just weird even having him come out with that. It's like it's like very, very kiddish. It's like one of those little playground insults, really.
Yeah, like, it's just like, I see what they were going with it, because it's like, because I mean, that's kind of the big complaint about AEW, is just like, everybody's kind of shitting the bed and all that. Like, I get the comparison they were trying to do. It just did not come out as they wanted to. Like, if anything, this to me sounded very much like peak 2019 WWE. Like,
honestly,
or hell, even like maybe like 2010s WWE.
Honestly, the way that you bring that up, a lot of people were saying when it came to the way that the Dynasty main event ended, they were kind of comparing it to that Hell in a Cell with Seth and Bray, when it came to just all of the controversy that came out of that event, and how so many people were shitting on it online, and how so many people were wondering Where's the direction of WWE now? Why are we getting all of this? And then you look at what happened as of recent with this pay-per-view. I mean, it's pretty much like the spitting image. It's like, where are things going? And
Yeah.
you look at Kenny's situation. Like I like the whole reason, and I'm sorry to come out and say this, but it almost makes it seem like, since we saw Okada and Swerve, come out to confront everybody after what happened, it just seems to be that Okada is only there because Tony wants that match of him and Omega, and that's it. Because if you notice prior, he hasn't really been doing anything. He hasn't really had any other like big feud that a lot of people can look back at, like how we saw with Swerve and Paige. Like, because there's difference where it's like when Cody wasn't involved with Roman, he had other feuds that he was a part of. Like, he was involved in that thing with AJ Styles. He had that thing with Kevin Owens. But it's like Okada. It's like, just gotta wait till Kenny comes back.
Well, even when Cody wasn't like part of the WWE title picture after 39, he was still doing stuff. He had the stuff with like Lesnar. He had to take out, Judgment Day and all that. He won the tag titles with Jay. I mean, and say what you want about the weekly product at that time too, because there were times where that even got tedious. With having this almost the same main event, except choose your character at that point. at that. But I mean, it was at least a little better than this. It wasn't like it wasn't poop. it wasn't poop. Oh my god! And even like when Okada came out, like, see, this is really what I don't get too, because like you kind of saw this too on Oh, thank you for the shout out, brothel or brother. Sorry. South Bronx, shout out, yeah. You also saw this like at Dynasty as well, with when Okada came out to confront Kenny, because like you look in your mind, you think in your mind, this is freaking Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada staring off on TV, on pay-per-view. We know this match is going to be happening in All In. We know we're going to get this again. And in fact, when Okada signed with AEW, that's why a lot of people wanted him to sign with AEW, just so he could get that match again and get that feeling again. And I mean, they could probably put on another like god tier match too at All In. It won't surprise me any if they do, because they're both really good. But it's the fact that like Kenny felt like he didn't give a shit when Okada came out there in Dynasty, and then on Dynamite, Okada comes out there and looks like not even he gives a shit. Like, even his suit coming out looked like it was like a size too big. And I'm just like, dude, come on, get a little fitting going on, like presentation and all that. Even and I mean, I say that, but Kenny walked out there in like gym shorts and a shirt or whatever. It's just like, okay, fine, whatever. That's besides the point. That again, presentation, characters, all that stuff. But it's like, do they care that they're about to face off against each other? It doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't. And I don't think that's the point either for it, because like maybe people could make the comment, oh, well, Okada's just trying to put down Kenny Omega because Kenny Omega's not him, and Okada's beaten him multiple times. It's like, okay, it's not translating well, at all. But again, production meetings are non-existent in the company, so it's like, how can we get better when we don't meet and actually talk critically about what we're doing? Let's go out there and have fun, everybody. It's like, yes, go out there and have fun, but that can only get so far. And what hurts about this company, what really hurts, because I mean, I listened to a few people to try to get multiple ends of the spectrum, but it was, oh shoot, who's the guy that sits with JD during shows again? AEW shows. Jesse, yes. I think it was during their Dynamite talk. I saw this clip go go around a little bit, or at least heard. No, I heard this because I actually listened to this live. Jesse made a comment. He's just like, for all those people, because I'm one of these people too. For the people that are the wait and seers, the ones who like see something happening and they question it, but they make the comment and they have the mindset of, you know what, I may not be a fan of it now, but I'm going to wait and see what happens. I can maybe be proven wrong. I can maybe be proven right. I don't know. Who knows? Me, I would love to be proven wrong because I don't want the things that I say that I don't like come to happen because I don't want those things to happen. When it comes to media, I would much rather be happy than right. And right now, like with what AEW does almost on a weekly basis, it makes people like me feel stupid, and it makes me feel like I shouldn't be consuming the product, but I want to because I want to give them the chance. I want to give them the opportunity because I know the feeling can be there, and I know they can do this. It's one of those things where like it almost feels like you're a parent. And it's like, your child can excel. They can do really well in life and that they can like succeed in everything that they can do because you've seen it before. You've seen them sell out shows. You've seen them like have over 1 million people watching on the weekly. It just sucks. It just sucks with what you get now, and it blows. It really blows when you get things like this. But I am at least Swerve came out and gave a line about how it's buck hunting season. So hey, that's cool. Can't wait for what Anarchy in the Arena or Stadium Stampede or whichever version they decide to do at Double or Nothing. We'll get in one of them with this elite Death Rider Rocky Alliance, I guess. But yeah, with Swerve coming out to kind of back up Omega during all this, it kind of kickstarts his match with Pac. So him and Pac are supposed to have a match again because Death Riders came out to screw over Swerve Strickland in his match and all that stuff. So of course Swerve's gonna want to get some revenge on the Death Riders for coming out trying to interfere, even though they weren't the reasons he lost. They're still aligned with John Moxley. Let me take out you boys. Swerve does end up going over, but I think the match ended up having to end a little early because Pac did seem to have get injured like on his right foot. And it looks like it was the moment where he got hit by a buckle bomb, and I guess he must have landed wrong. Because he ended up like rolling out of the ring, officials checking in on him, and then shortly after that, Swerve wins, and that's your lot with it. So I'm really hoping Pac is better or fine because he's kind of a champion right now in AEW. Are we gonna just make John Moxley double champ then? I mean, cool, neat. Unless you guys add somebody, which cool, neat, make it make sense, fine, whatever. Not much beyond that until we get this Hangman stuff in the back. So Hangman's been going through this bit of an identity crisis and all that. And he's looking for Swerve. He's trying to find Swerve to let him know that, hey, I was not out there to help you win the title. I just hate John Moxley more than you, which, okay, fine. I mean, I would have preferred Hangman to, kind of be more of a man on his word, but I get it because he's in this confused state right now. He's not sure like where he's going or what he's doing and all that. And he gets even more confused, or at least he gets angry because, he runs into Prince Nana in the back and he's like, hey, where's Swerve? Oh, I don't know where he is. And like Nana actually tries to apologize to Hangman. And Hangman just, yells back. He's just like, no, you're not allowed to do that. That's bullshit. No, you're not allowed. I mean, I'm fine with the whole redemption arc for either guys. That's fine. I just feel like, I think for me personally, at least with the Nana somewhat, or at least starting the apology, I feel like and this might just be me being, consumed with ever melting time and all that. I feel like it's too early for Swerve to be going on this like redemption run. Like, I mean, we got the line of like, yeah, I deserved my house to be burned down, which okay, cool, neat.
Mm.
I don't, at least character wise, I don't see Swerve having this redemption style. I don't know. Maybe I missed something here and there because again, I'm slowly trying to get back into AEW, which again, keyword trying. I don't know. But I mean, they're at least performing well, which I appreciate. They at least seem to be in the characters and the lines a lot more than Kenny. So,
did you notice how?
Do you have any?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you notice how some people are piecing, putting the puzzle together, where it seems like Swerve and Paige might be getting the Young Bucks at All In. Have you seen that floating around?
Yeah, I saw that floating around. I'm like, I don't know. I see again, like, I'm I'm for the redemption story.
Yeah.
It's just it feels too soon.
It does feel too soon. And it also just feels like they deserve something more than that, really. Because it's like my original thought process outside of Ospreay would be Hangman being the hero to, put an end to the Death Riders. At Stand and Deliver, I mean, not that I Stand and Deliver, at All In, because that's pretty much, that's his territory there. That's his whole stick when it comes to his character. Yeah. So I thought that's how they were gonna. I thought that's how they were gonna, lay it out, everything. And then you saw how Dynasty ended, where you had like certain angles between him and the Bucks, and then now you got, because you already had beef between him and the Bucks already, and now Swerve has beef with them now because they're the reason why he's not the AEW World Champion right now. So that sort of seems like to me that's their plan. I don't know why. Because I feel like there's like a lot more other things those guys could do, but it does seem like they are like putting things out there a little bit too soon, especially when it comes to these guys knowing how much history they have. I don't really know why you want to really, pull everything to the side just because you want to get this out here, just so you could have this match.
Yeah, and like, see, that's why like that's why like the one reason for the Bucks doing what they did at Dynasty, like doing it for Adam Page, that's partially why I was fine with that reasoning of it. Because it's like, okay, they're trying to, pull favor with Hangman, but that's just going to confuse Hangman even more because of their history and all this other stuff going on with them. So it's like, that could have been an interesting wrinkle. It's just, you just had to add the other stuff with the Death Riders of like, but it was a peace offering, blah, blah, blah. But I already spoke on all that when I talked about it, but it's like, you had a chance to be very nuanced with something and you chose not to. It sucks, but like, I guess we'll see. But again, I don't really have much faith. Yeah, exactly. Oh my, money. Okay, who cares? Who wants to see some of their favorite or least favorite stars win money? That's right. We had an 8-man tag match between well, we had Team Ricochet, which was Ricochet. Shoot, now I should have wrote their names down on my notes. You know what? It does. You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why? Because the other 3 guys are doing buck shit for anything. But the face team that has I don't know, Will Ospreay, Kevin Knight, Speedball Mike Bailey, Mark Briscoe. Oh look, 4 guys that I already knew the names of that are actually doing shit, everywhere. On one side, gee, I wonder who's gonna win this fake money kind of thing. This is like I think WCW did a lot of this shit where it's just like, let's have a battle royal for money. It's like, okay, great. we're gonna cheer somebody for getting a raise or a bonus. Awesome. What are we doing with our money? We'll go Disney World portfolio, like things like that. I'm like, all right, fun little thing at the beginning, whatever. The reason behind this match sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of sucks. But again, let's dangle the keys in front of our faces. Great match, at least. You know, the action was fine. It was fun. There was a moment, which I guess this is becoming a shtick now, where Ricochet, everybody's jumping out of the ring. I mean, you see who's involved in this match. There's gonna be a lot of high flying action, but there's one part where Ricochet tries to do like a plancha outside to like the face team, but the face team all dodge him, and he kind of like lands, and he like looked like the camera's right there, and he's just like, oh shit, and he turns around, and everyone just kind of like slaps his bald head. I'm not gonna lie, kind of. I kind of like that little shtick going on. I think it's kind of funny just because, you know, again, bald head and all that. And I think Ricochet's also getting more comfortable in his role. There's still, you know, room for improvement, but he at least seems comfortable with, or at least more comfortable, which, okay, good. Good on you, dude. But again, I don't really care that the face team won 100K each. Neat. Proud of you guys. Some of you guys are involved in the Owen Hart tournament. Let's focus on that. But here come the Hurt Syndicate to celebrate their very much hard fought victory this past Sunday on Dynasty. It was not hard fought. It was fairly easy for them. In fact, they didn't really need MJF's help. But MJF comes out because he still wants to be part of the group. He still wants to use this group for his own benefit. And, you know, because the Hurt Syndicate run on all for one for all, it's got to be a unanimous vote for MJF to get in, and it's not. MJF seems to kind of be gravitating more towards Shelton Benjamin, which is cool, fine, awesome. But later on in the night, MVP, he runs into MJF again, and basically MJF has to prove himself to the Hurt Syndicate to really join them and be part of them. Again, I'm not gonna lie, everybody, this is kind of part of the show where I started checking out a bit, because again, this Dynamite, it was not grasping me at all. Like, I was watching it and just like, what? Okay, cool, neat, awesome. Chris Statlander defeating Thunder Rosa in a pretty good match. So she moves on in the Owen Hart tournament. Tony Storm was on commentary, which is always a plus. You know, I've been coming around to the whole timeless gimmick and all that. I think, you know, a lot of the double entendres, you know, take that what you will with, you know, however you enjoy double entendres like that. But she's at least entertaining, and I enjoy entertainment. Funny we mentioned Chris Jericho earlier. He had a segment with his learning tree. And he's all pissed off. No, excuse me, he's not pissed off. He's just disappointed in them. Disappointed enough to, you know, break his own TV screen and walk out. Like he at least did confront Big Bill to be like, "Hey, you didn't help me try to win my match. Like, you didn't help me try to keep my title. So what's up with that, dude?" And Big Bill actually kind of goes into him. So, you know, good on him. Because Big Bill's starting to realize, hey, you're kind of using us, dude. You're kind of like using us for your own benefit. We're not really benefiting from all this. I kind of like how Brian Keith is relatively silent for all this. Like, it's mainly just Big Bill talking to Jericho and just unleashing his fury on Jericho. But yeah, Jericho breaks all this stuff in the ring and just says, "I'm out." He leaves the arena. I don't know if this means he's going to be gone for a bit or what's going on. But Drop, are you going to be excited that Jericho might not be on our screens for a bit?
I did hear about him supposed to be doing a tour with Fozzy. So that's one of the reasons why he's not going to be on television.
Kind of figured, yeah.
And I kind of feel like with everything currently going on with Jericho currently in the product, maybe this is what they need. Have a little break from him on television when he goes on that tour at Fozzy, and then whatever they have planned out from there. I mean, I guess just do what you really need, but it does bother me. A little break is fine.
Yeah. Just it'll be fine. You'll be fine, Jericho. And of course, our main event match, we had the Ops, which was Samoa Joe and Hook taking on the Death Riders in Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. And the Ops actually win. Like it actually kind of a cool moment too, where like Joe has Wheeler in the ring in a choke. I believe Hook has Claudio outside the ring in a chokehold, and when Moxley tries to get involved in the match, out comes Shibata, who gets Mox in a choke. So it's basically a triple choke happening, triple choke action and all that. And yeah, the Ops win, and the Death Riders, they get their heat back by having Marina Shafir come in and hit Joe with a very weak-looking chair shot. Which I'm sorry, I saw that chair shot like to his knee, and like, how is Joe down from that? Okay, fine, whatever. They beat up on the Ops and all that, get their licks back, and at the end of it all, Samoa Joe gets on the mic, calls them some really dirty names and all that, and the Ops challenge the Death Riders for the Trios titles. So hopefully they're the ones to take the Trios titles at least off of the Death Riders. That would be kind of cool. Hopefully they're not just fed to these guys, because if they're just fed to the Death Riders, oh my god.
So
I don't want Joe to be fed.
So one of the things I will say about this is, since they are challenging for those titles, who is the third man now, considering that Pac is injured?
Yeah. Like, is Mox gonna pull double duty then? Or are they gonna have a mysterious new member of you know it'd be really dumb. You know it'd be really just batshit dumb. What if, for some god unknown reason, they freaking get one of the Young Bucks to get into that spot?
Oh god.
What? God damn! It wouldn't put it past them.
I hope they don't put Josh Alexander in there.
Oh my god, no, don't.
Because I feel like he'd be a lot more fitting with the Don Callis family.
Yeah, because they are looking for a new member right now.
Yeah.
So
would probably benefit. You would probably benefit a lot from that, because Death Riders is the angle you don't really want to be a part of right now, and I would hate for him to be involved in that, especially with being new.
Like, that's the thing. I would much rather Don Callis family shit than the Death Riders, because like, at least it's fun to boo Don Callis. You know, him and his little cosplayer, I guess, is also becoming a thing on Dynamite. With apparently there's another cosplayer of Don Callis out there last night, so cool, neat, excellent. Yeah, hopefully the Ops are the ones to take the Trios titles away from the Death Riders, but that was Dynamite. That was your follow-up to Dynasty. Pretty not even mediocre at best. It was just kind of boring, and it takes a little bit for me to be bored with something. So if I'm calling you boring, oh my gosh, that is you're really doing something wrong, because I could be easily entertained, but I'm just gonna leave it at that with Dynamite. Drop, how was NXT this week?
So when it comes to NXT this week, we're pretty much in the building stages still when it comes to getting to Stand and Deliver, because that is pretty much NXT's WrestleMania over that weekend. It normally takes place on that Saturday. I believe it's actually supposed to be at 1 in the afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. So thankfully I'll be able to watch that and see what transpires there. Maybe we get some little pop-ins when it comes to who's going to be coming soon in the crowd, like that classic takeover thing that they did last year was Julia. So we'll see who pops up this time. But speaking of Julia, we had a match open up when it comes to Jordynne Grace versus Jada Parker. And pretty much they've been butting heads for quite some time now when it comes to them trying to get their way to Stephanie Vaquer because she is the current WWE NXT Women's Champion. And you have it where this match was supposed to be, okay, whoever wins this match gets a shot at Stephanie at Stand and Deliver, which is what she said to start off NXT, because that's how the show opened. She says, okay, I'm going to watch this match. Whoever wins, I'll make my decision. So they ended up having a match between one another, but it ended up turning into a brawl. Well, they had a match, but then Jada Parker decided to be smart. She attacked Stephanie Vaquer when she was on commentary, and then Stephanie got involved, which I would expect her to, because she's one of those people that you look at her where you're like, I don't really want to mess with this girl because she'd beat my ass. So I don't really blame for Stephanie to get herself involved, to, you know, hit Jada after that and do whatever with Jordynne afterwards as well. So they ended up getting in a brawl. They all end up getting in a ring. And then you have Julia come out, which is a lot of people were wondering, like, okay, what is going on with Julia? Because we haven't seen Julia since the NXT event that took place when it came to them being at the Garden, because ever since she lost her title, she hasn't been seen on television ever since. And then, of course, you saw online she was participating at those little live event shows that they tend to do. And she was, you know, getting herself involved in matches. Like, okay, Julia's coming back soon. Which makes me think, you know, looking at all the stuff that we reported on here when it comes to Julia, or just things that we talked about in general, it's almost hard for me to believe, like, was there anything severe going on with Julia if she's participating in these, like, house shows for NXT and you see what she's doing online? It's almost like, did me, Watkins, and Vash waste our time in a way talking about these reports that were coming out when it seemed like she was fine all the way through? So I don't even know what to say to that, but it's good that she is back. She looks great. I love the blue hair. I think it's a really good look for her. And we saw her pretty much come out to help Stephanie, because obviously we know that these two have history. They've known each other for quite some time now, ever since they both appeared on NXT with each other, when Stephanie came later, of course. They had this whole portrayal on television that they're very close friends, which is what we've been seeing for these past couple months with them being together. They always had each other's back, and when it came to the point where they needed to be competitive, they were competitive. But when it came to what we saw tonight, she helped Stephanie out when it came to what was going on with Jordynne, what was going on with Jada. And then you had her go up to Stephanie, and then she ended up attacking her. She ended up hitting her finisher, the Northern Lights bomb, on her, and she laid her out. And she put her foot on her, she grabbed the title, and she put it up in the air. And I'll be 100% honest with you, I was confused at first when it came to the execution of the heel turn, because it's pretty much showing on the television show that she is a heel now based on her attacking her friend. She could have just helped Stephanie and that's it. And she could have still gotten involved in a match anyway, just like how she did before in the past when it came to them being in matches with one another. But it's like, when you see like what happened when it came to what was going on in this scenario, Julia had, like, the way that they were doing it on television, I was starting to get off track a little bit. I was confused. You know how sometimes they do television, how sometimes they do heel turns on television, and it's like, you get it to heel turn, but the execution kind of seemed off a little bit, like the way that they did it.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about this.
I saw this clip, Yeah,
that's how I felt about it, because when I saw her turn heel, I was like, okay, it's an obvious heel turn because she attacked Stephanie just out of spite, because obviously I'll get into why afterwards when she was approached when she was out in the parking lot before she left. But it's like, it just seemed like a little off to me, because it's like, I get it happened, but it just felt very awkward. That's like the best word I could really describe it. Like, it just felt very awkward. and it didn't really seem like it got any sort of reaction from the crowd. Maybe it did, because I only did see it once when I watched it live, but it just felt awkward. That's honestly all I can really say. But again, who cares? Because nobody gives a shit. She is a heel now. It makes sense, because before I get into what she said, she has been on a losing streak with Stephanie Vecker ever since they had their match for the New Japan's Women's Strong title, which is the title that Mercedes has right now, because she did win that from Stephanie Vecker, because it went from Julia to Stephanie to Mercedes Moné. So she lost to Stephanie in that match, and then she recently lost to Stephanie at that Madison Square Garden show. So she's pretty much 0-2 towards her. So you would think realistically that would eat you up a little bit. You can't beat this person. They're in your path. They're always above you. Like, whatever obstacle you try to climb, that person's always there to push you down and again and again and again, looking at it from that sort of way. So it's like, in Julia's head, she's just done, and she's just out to get what she wants, which is the title. And this leads to what we saw with her saying that, why did you attack Stephanie Vecker? I thought you guys are friends, you were close, yada this, yada that. And she stated that there are no friends, and she wants her rematch at Stand and Deliver. Like, she demanded the match. And going off what I said before, it makes sense why she did things now. And then we saw something a little bit later in the night, because the whole point of this match happening earlier was for Stephanie to make the decision. So even though the match ended in no contest, it still goes by what Stephanie wants, and she's the champion. If she wants Jordan, even though all that shit happened, she can get Jordan. If she wants Jada after all that shit happened, she can get Jada. If she wanted Julia after all that stuff happened, she can get Julia. It goes by what the champion wants. And she ended up saying that she wants all three of them. So she wants Jada Parker, Jordan Grace, and Julia at Stand and Deliver. So they made it official to be a fatal four-way match for the NXT Women's title. And I have a problem with this. The main reason is, and this is the exact same thing that's occurring on the main roster, I am getting tired of these multi-man matches. I thought it was just a main roster thing. Now it's extending to NXT now. And trust me, we're going to get into we're going to get more into that a little bit later when it comes to the NXT North American Championship on the men's side as well, because I can let the women's thing slide, because that's vacant. That's fine. But I'm just not a really big fan of this. I get why we got there, because no contest, you butt heads after the match. Obviously, Jordan Grace, Julia, Stephanie, they're big names. Throw Jada in there to have a big moment. Okay, I get why you want them all involved. I still don't like how we got there with like a fatal four-way match of all these ladies. But it happened. I can't do anything about it, but I just felt like we could have done something a little bit different here. Because I felt like since there was ongoing beef between Jordan Grace and Jada Parker, I realistically thought we weren't going to get this match, and this was going to be one of those undercard matches for the ladies at Stand and Deliver, because I would be fine with this. Jordan Grace and Jada Parker, they were putting on a pretty good match in the ring. So I would have no issues if that was a match at Stand and Deliver, and then you would get Julia coming back, Stephanie getting pissed. I want Julia, I want to have that match of her at this event. Okay, that's what I originally done, but we got here, and that's that. And obviously I'm still gonna enjoy the match, because it's gonna be really good seeing all these ladies get in the ring. And I guess in a way it sort of throws the whole unpredictability card in there, but I'm still gonna hold it and say it comes down between Stephanie or Julia. I don't know if I want Stephanie losing the title so soon, since she just got it, and she's a big name, so I don't know if you really want to do that. She's not like she's somebody where you could like give it to and that's that. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait and see how things transpire and the show on NXT for their go home show for Stand and Deliver. But those are my thoughts on that. And this I'm just gonna go through really quick when it comes to the calling against Hank and Tank. So pretty much this was, one of those typical tag matches that you get on NXT. And we saw that earlier we saw that Shawn Spears addressed his group backstage, reflecting his loss of the NXT North American Championship the previous week and redirecting focus to their future successes. So, obviously they're looking at what happened, but obviously, he's not going to try to tear them limb and limb because of what happened. They're trying to get back on the path to gain that momentum, and this is essentially what this match was. And then we saw Fraxium take on Swipe Right, which is which they're on Evolve. I haven't watched Evolve for like 2 weeks now. I do see a little recaps here and there, but I do know who Swipe Right is because I've seen them in action. But, this was a good showcase for them because they're pretty much on pre-NXT, and then they obviously go from Evolve to NXT. So this was this was a match essentially for more eyes to get on them, which was nice. I kind of wish that Zeta Steel appeared with them, considering that she is a part of that group on Evolve. Would be pretty cool just to get her there on the NXT spotlight, even though she's not officially part of NXT. She is an ID talent, but it would just be pretty cool since she is a part of that group, just to see her there. But obviously, Fraxium, I mean, they're considered one of the best tag teams going right now, so I always expect them to deliver a good match. So, there's that. And then we get into our qualifying matches, which I spoke about last week when it came to the NXT North American, women's title picture. And obviously, as of right now, we have Zarya and Kalani Jordan a part of it. And now we had Soruka defeated Jasmine Nix to earn a spot for the NXT Women's North American picture. And I like this because obviously, I'm a big fan of Sol, and I also like how her and Zarya are involved in this match together now, because that makes me question, like, okay, is there going to be any tension breaking through between both of these ladies, considering that they both have their eyes on this title, because they've been partners for so long. So I don't know if this is going to be the building grounds of a split between them. Maybe Zarya does something to snap at Soruka in this match that, extends from Stand and Deliver into whatever happens weekly on NXT, and then the next PLE that they have, which is Battleground. Because I feel like there isn't any signs of it yet. But I definitely feel like the end game is a Zarya heel turn on Soruka. I don't see Soruka doing a heel turn on Zarya because it only makes sense in the slightest. Zarya has that mean girl look to her. So I'm just wondering if that's going to create any tension with them. But again, you got Kalani Jordan, Soruka, Zarya in the match. That's nice. You got Izzy Dame defeating Ren Sinclair to be a part of the ladder match as well. So that's your two names for this week. And then obviously next week, you're going to get your last two names because it is a 6-women's ladders match for that title. And then I'm just going to throw this in here. I didn't put it in the notes. But you had Ava talking to like the rest of the girls backstage when it came to Roxanne and a couple other names, saying that she had an idea for them. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but again, she was mentioning like, oh, because a lot of these girls back there were like, they wanted a shot at something, like, oh, I want this, oh, I want that, typical thing that you see backstage at NXT. You see a lot of the people complaining, like, I want this match, or this person pissed me off, I want to go after them, etc., so on. So you pretty much had a scenario like that play out, and I'm wondering, like, okay, what is this? Hopefully it's a match that matters, and it's not just another bragging rights thing, or a random number one contenders match, or whatever the case may be. I don't even know. I was confused about the whole thing, so I'll wait and see what that is.
Interesting that she kind of brought up Roxanne's name, I guess, because she hasn't been on TV in since Elimination Chamber time.
Yeah, like main roster, yes. But last week I know that she put Kalani over last week, so she can qualify for her match.
All right.
I must
have missed that then.
Yeah, which I don't really know what this is gonna be at Stand and Deliver, if I'm being 100% honest, if something takes place there.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I don't see Roxanne winning, and I'm hoping that Roxanne is one of those, what do they call it? Those post-Mania call-ups.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Hopefully.
yeah. Yeah. So then we had Wesley defeat Yoshi Inamura. He won by a pinfall, building up his momentum. He had something play out with Javon Evans backstage where Sarah told him that, it was pretty much building up to the main event where it was him, Trick, and Oba taking on Dark State that night, which is pretty much the new Retribution Shield group in there. And he was, talking about any Trick Williams and Obafemi for, not heeding warnings about Dark State. That's essentially all that was. We get to our main event, which was pretty much Oba, Trick, and Javon against Dark State. Dark State ended up emerging victorious because they ended up pinning Javon Evans to win the match, which makes sense because, this group just came in. You don't want them losing their matches because that pretty much kills their credibility right there. So that's essentially like what that main event was, just showcasing who these guys are and all that. And then we get to the last thing that I want to speak of when it comes to the NXT North American Championship celebration with Ricky Starks. So essentially Ricky Starks came out because, he was celebrating his NXT North American Championship win, and he was calling out Ethan Page. And obviously Ethan Page was there because he was the one that got the last word on him, because he ended up hitting his finisher on Ethan Page on Ricky Starks to close off the show. But then you had all these other people come out, where you had Lexis King come out, you had Eddie Thorpe come out, you had Wes Lee come out with a lot of his boys, and they interrupted each, wanting to get a claim at that title, which, then ended up leading to a brawl, and then Ethan Page ended up getting the upper hand on Ricky Starks once again. So you now have Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, Lexis King, Eddie Thorpe, and Wes Lee involved in this picture for the NXT North American Championship. I at first thought this was strictly going to be an Ethan Page and Ricky Starks thing because they had beef when he first came up.
But guess what?
Yeah, but now it's turning into a fatal five-way, which again, I don't understand why we're doing this, because it's like everything's laid out so easily when it comes to Ricky Starks right now. Like when it comes to him going after Ethan Page, pretty much capitalizing on what you saw that previous week. So it was almost like written in stone, like, okay, we're going to get this match at Stand and Deliver. Okay, we got the setup there. He was going to call him out, and then we would get the official confirmation either that night or the previous week, whatever. But now it's a fatal five-way. I don't know why we're doing this. I get people are going to always bring up the whole thing where it's like, well, you want to have everybody involved on the card. I get that, but at the same time, that's not always the greatest thing to do, because now you're just lumping up people together just because you just want a whole bunch of people there. So I don't know why we have so many multi-man matches, not just this WrestleMania season, but now NXT's getting a part of it as well. And some matches make sense, and then you could look at some of the other matches that they have place where it's like, it doesn't really need to be there. But that's just something I've noticed, which is a common theme with both shows, where there's like so many multi-man matches, and I do not understand why. And it wasn't like this at all last year. Like, you had a couple, but it was it was very slim. If you look at the cards now, it's like all over the place. It's almost like a WrestleMania 2000 situation, where it's like every match on the card, essentially. It's not exactly like that, but at least with certain matches, it's like it's always a triple threat, a fatal four-way, a fatal five-way, a 3-on-3, whatever the case may be. Like, it's just all over the place. I mean, I would have easily done something different. Roxanne earlier, her and Cora had some beef on NXT. I would have easily had her and Cora as an undercard match here. Have Roxanne put Cora over. Have Roxanne officially show up on either Raw or SmackDown, and then continue doing her thing there. But everything's just like it's not like I'm not excited for Stand and Deliver, because I am. I just don't understand why we always have to have certain placements when it comes to a lot of these things. But all in all, that's essentially what happened on NXT.
Yeah, like there's all these multi-man matches, and yet we can barely get a tag team match on any PLE, let alone Mania. Because one report I saw, like, not to go back to the news or anything, but this kind of ties into what you're talking about. Because so apparently there's supposed to be 15 matches at Mania this year, like around 14 to 15, and only one set of tag team titles are possibly going to be on the show in the world tag titles with the New Day and the War Raiders. And I saw that. And I saw the other thing about, like, because remember, Motor City Machine Guns won their #1 contenders match last week with DIY.
Yep.
Apparently, their match with the Street Profits are going to happen on the SmackDown before WrestleMania. And I'm just sitting here thinking, why isn't that just on the Mania card? Like,
yeah, I saw that.
What are we doing? What are we doing with the tag teams, And it's like you would rather focus on like these multi-person matches, so like these triple threats and these fatal four-ways, rather than focus on like, oh, I don't know, maybe another version of multi-man matches, like tag team matches. Like, you literally have been building like this one story for months regarding the SmackDown tag team scene. And you're not doing anything with that now, it seems like, at Mania. Like, I don't know. And like the fact that this is bled into NXT right now is really weird. Like, this whole build for like these big shows coming next week is just really weird and all that. And yeah, I know you are too before we get into our discussion with it, but like I'm gonna be reflecting on a lot of this shit. Like I'm gonna be thinking like, okay, oh, sorry, my watch decided to talk to me. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking at these matches and really seeing how these builds have been going, because it's weird how we've gotten to these places, and it's sad to hear. Well, I don't want to say sad, because again, things are gonna slap and all that, but it's kind of upsetting to hear that it's kind of bleeding into NXT now. So, oh man, but you know what? Maybe the multi-man matches are fine. Maybe multi-man Mania will be a kick out of the park, and maybe Stand and Deliver, all those people will, you know, uh, show out and be lit and all that fun stuff that we like to see and all that. But that seems to be all of our wrestling tidbits, all our turnbuckles stuff going on, and yeah, that's pretty much the show, I guess. I mean, we got some news out. We talked about Dynamite, NXT, some fun things going on there. Now, just a kind of quick plug again. Tomorrow we've got our SmackDown coverage. We're back on our normal time around like 11:30, 11:45 time. We'll be on, once SmackDown's done and all that. We'll talk about everything going on there. I'm looking forward to when we stop having 3-hour SmackDowns. It's gonna be great.
Same.
But yeah, oh my god, I can't wait. I can't. What is it, like May or June? They're supposed to go back.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I want my 2-hour SmackDowns back. But yeah, we'll be live tomorrow night with SmackDown. Next week, we'll be coming back. Me and Vash will be coming back with the sidecast for Raw, and we'll be doing the post show for Raw as well. And then next week, around this time, for Grappling with the Week, we are going to be doing our WrestleMania special, where, we're not going to talk about any news, no NXT, no Dynamite. It's going to be all about the WrestleMania cards. We're going to talk about each match. Again, some of the builds are going to be a fairly quick conversation. It's just going to be like, yeah, build's great, blah, blah, blah. And we'll give our predictions as well for that show, but yeah, we're gonna talk about this WrestleMania build because it's been one of contention ever. Gosh, ever since the Royal Rumble happened, like ever since Jay won the Rumble, like Mania's been a hot topic for a lot of people, kind of complaining about it. Um, but yeah, that's gonna be next Thursday, and again next Friday with SmackDown, and then our WrestleMania coverage will definitely be doing our shows after each night of Mania. I don't know if we're gonna be sidecasting or streaming anything. I don't think we are, but stay tuned to hear if we do or not. Yeah, any closing thoughts about anything, Drop?
The only other things I really have is next week is going to be quite the adventure because we have 5 streams.
Yeah,
So that's
fun.
that's going to be
Great.
fun. The Raw and SmackDown and Grappling with the Week is going to be easy to set up. It's just we don't really know when these WrestleMania shows are going to end.
Yeah,
Because those
I
are
don't
pretty
even.
much.
Do we even have start times for each night?
I did see something coming out where they have like a 3-hour pre-show, which I get because it's a lot of
Yeah.
WrestleMania, whatever. I'm not gonna watch. I don't really give a shit. But it's like, um, I'm gonna say 7. I feel like that would probably be a safe bet for it to start.
Okay.
Seems to be the norm lately. Because if I recall last year, I think they did start WrestleMania around like I think
It
they
was
actually
pretty
started
early
around
last year.
6, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. We would honestly, I would probably have to look up and see exactly like what the exact time is. But I'm guessing at the most probably like a 4 to 4.5 hour show, maybe. Because I feel like you might get an extra hour thrown on there just because it's Mania, and they probably want to give okay, so Vash says in the chat it's starting at 7 p.m. for both night 1 and 2.
Okay.
So let's say 11 is the deadline at the most.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, that's a lot of
We'll
content.
probably be live. Yeah, we'll probably be live around 11:30.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
a lot of content.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's gonna be a lot of fun too. Talk about everything because Mania is always fun. Last year's was fun to talk about, but yeah, we got some stuff to talk about with the build when we get to it next week and all that. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're just gonna go ahead and end the show right now. So thank you again for listening to Grappling with the Week. Before we head out, as always, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can see all of those ats, all those signatures, all that stuff right down there in the yellow part of the screen. You got Anima We Studio, that's the parent company of Weebs of the Ring. You got Legend D Vash. I know he's not here, but unfortunately he has sold his soul to The Rock, so he's dealing with things going on with that. You've got at Drop This Box, you've got at Walk-ins MW, and of course, you've not only got at Weebs of the Ring, but you've got the hashtag Weebs of the Ring, where you can interact with us before, during, or after these shows, and just talk wrestling with us, talk anything with us. We'll keep the conversation going, keep everything nice, pleasant, and fun to be around. And, it's also a good way to give us feedback. Because, hey, without feedback, how are we supposed to get better? How are we supposed to improve our product without that feedback from you guys? Because that's always appreciated from you, the fans out there. We was Grappling with the Week is presented by Anima We Studio. Thanks again to our production team for all of your hard work. Thank you for joining us, and a special shout out to Stu for helping us every single week, even though he's got some hard times ahead of him because of that dirty old jerk off John Cena just breaking his heart. But hey, we appreciate you, Stu, for helping us with this show. Thank you once again. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow night for the Smack Diggity Damn.
You guys.